It is one of the most shocking, controversial, and deeply painful stories recorded in the entire Bible. The story of Dinah, the only daughter of the patriarch Jacob. This is not just a tale from ancient times. It is a gripping narrative of violation, betrayal, fierce brotherly revenge, and a father's baffling silence that changed the destiny of Israel's family forever. For centuries, biblical scholars, historians, and believers have analyzed these events. But the biggest, most haunting question remains: why did Jacob remain completely silent when his own daughter was violated? To truly understand this tragedy, we must travel back thousands of years into the ancient land of Canaan. Recorded in Genesis chapter 34, the story begins when Jacob and his large family settled just outside the prosperous pagan city of Shechem. They were foreigners in a strange land, trying to maintain their identity and faith. Dinah, a young, innocent, and perhaps curious woman, decides to leave the safety of her family's tents. She goes out into the city to visit the local women of the land, wanting to see how they lived. But her curiosity leads her straight into an absolute nightmare. Shechem, who was the prince of that region and the son of Hamor the ruler, spots her. Overwhelmed by lust and entitlement, he seizes her by force. The scriptures do not mince words. He defiles her, violates her, and humiliates her completely. Yet, in a bizarre and unsettling twist of fate, the text states that his soul became deeply drawn to her. He fell in love with the very woman he had just broken, speaking tenderly to her and demanding that she become his wife. Back in the camp of Israel, news of this horrific act reaches the ears of Jacob. This was a direct assault on the honor of his entire house. But instead of crying out for justice, instead of tearing his clothes in grief or immediately confronting the pagan prince, Jacob does something incredibly disturbing. The Bible notes a chilling detail. Jacob held his peace and remained completely silent until his sons returned from the fields. Why? Why would a powerful patriarch, a man who had literally wrestled with God and commanded armies of servants, choose absolute silence in the face of his daughter's agony? Some historians suggest it was cold, political fear. He knew his family was outnumbered in a foreign territory, and a wrong move could mean a total annihilation. Others believe he was simply waiting for his fierce sons to return so they could form a collective strategic plan. But to Dinah and to anyone reading her story today, this silence feels like a heavy, heartbreaking betrayal from the one person who was supposed to protect her. When Jacob's sons, Dinah's brothers, finally return from the fields and hear the news, they are cut to the heart. They do not share their father's quiet caution. Instead, they burn with pure, unadulterated fury. In ancient times, the violation of a sister was a declaration of war. They refused to let their only sister be treated like a harlot. Soon after, Prince Shechem and his father Hamor arrive at Jacob's camp. They offer a massive dowry, proposing a treaty of marriage and trade between their peoples. Seeing an opportunity, Dinah's brothers, led by Simeon and Levi, hatch a deceptive and deadly plan. They hide their rage and speak words of peace, telling the prince that the marriage can only happen on one strict condition. Every single male in the city of Shechem must be circumcised to align with the covenant of Abraham. Desperate to keep Dinah, the prince and the men of the city surprisingly agree to the terms. But the brothers had no intention of making peace. On the third day after the mass circumcision, when the men of the city are in intense physical pain, feverish, and completely unable to defend themselves, Simeon and Levi draw their swords. Fueled by righteous anger and merciless vengeance, the two brothers march boldly into the helpless city. They slaughter every single male in Shechem, including the prince and his father. They rush into the prince's palace, rescue their traumatized sister Dinah, and carry her back to safety. Afterward, the rest of Jacob's sons plunder the entire city, taking their flocks, their wealth, and enslaving their women and children. When Jacob finds out about the horrific slaughter, his reaction is shocking. He does not mourn the loss of innocent lives, nor does he comfort his rescued daughter. Instead, he confronts his sons in anger, worried solely about his own safety. He tells them, "You have brought trouble on me by making me a stink to the inhabitants of the land. Being few in number, they will gather against me and destroy me. But Simeon and Levi fire back with a fierce defense that echoes through history. Should he treat our sister like a harlot? The tragic story of Dinah ends there, fading into a dark cloud of trauma, grief, and unanswered questions. Dinah is never mentioned again in the narrative, leaving an everlasting scar on the foundation of the 12 tribes of Israel. What do you think about Jacob's silence? Was it tactical wisdom, paralyzing fear, or a complete failure as a father? And were Simeon and Levi justified in their brutal revenge? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this historical documentary insightful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the hidden and darkest mysteries of ancient history.